Spotlight is proudly sponsored by HEC Media, St. Louis's home for arts, education, and culture.
Today on Spotlight, Mercy gets nearly $3 million to launch an all-new program for weight loss. And then a survey that tested the effects of radioactive fallout on children's health. Plus, a program that's unique because it teaches science, technology, engineering, art, and math to all ages, starting at age 5. But first, a man who loves to talk about St. Louis so much, he's now telling its story through maps. It's Sunday, and you're watching the multiple Emmy Award-winning Spotlight.
Andy Hahn spends his days surrounded by artifacts from the Middle Victorian period, furniture, tableware, photos, and more. As steward of the historic Campbell House Museum, he walks visitors daily through St. Louis's rich history, a history he has followed since childhood on maps. It began as a hobby.
It started back when I was a little kid. My grandparents in their house in Webster Groves had a big map on the wall. And 1958 Hammond's International Map of the World, and they were huge travelers, and when they would come back from their travels they would point to me on this map where they had been. So when I was 5 I knew where Mozambique and Madagascar and all sorts of exotic places were.
Hahn has used his love of maps at the museum to talk about St. Louis history. He says maps are a valuable guide in learning about the city's past, from its origins along the Mississippi River.
We use maps every day in our interpretation, in telling visitors about how St. Louis has grown and evolved over the decades.
That experience, combined with his personal interest in maps, prompted him to write this book, Mapping St. Louis, A History of the Gateway City in 40 Rare Maps.
So my book is a chronological look at St. Louis through the lens of maps. The oldest map is from 1767, just a few years after the city was founded, and the newest map is from 2021. And I tried to select maps that told different aspects of the city's history. Maps about education, maps about exploration, tourists maps, planning maps. So I really wanted to get a wide variety of maps, and each one would tell a unique and fascinating story about our city. And I think maps have a very unique power. They have a magnetism that draws you in.
Well, St. Louis is a really big place, and it's got a really...
Librarian Emily J. Cox of the Missouri Historical Society wrote the book's foreword and provided Hahn with some of the maps.
And if people haven't had a chance to think about it before, it's hard for them to realize how much St. Louis has changed since it was first founded in the early years. And the maps that Andy's picked out for his book really help us understand that change.
The coffee table-sized book also includes many photos and stories that take readers on a unique journey.
One that surprised me the most, or the one that I really was intrigued by the most, was the 1860s map of the Civil War forts in St. Louis. At the beginning of the war, the federal government and the U.S. Army built a series of over 10 forts that literally ringed the city, that surrounded the whole city. There's neighborhoods on top of where these forts are today, so I think that's a pretty cool story. There's a great map that talks about water and sewer systems in our city, and that's really important. Water is probably more relevant to our society today than ever, and so that map kind of tells part of that story.
Hahn's book incorporates different types of maps, and the large size of the book means you won't have to squint or use a magnifying glass to read them.
I guess I'm biased because I'm kind of a map nerd. I've watched people when they take the book in their hands and start looking through it, and their eyes get big and they kind of light up, and then they say, I know someone who would love this book, and it just really grabs people.
One of the things that I've enjoyed most is talking with other people who really enjoy maps. I hope that my book really can tell people different aspects of the city that they don't know about, and things that are still relevant today.
Hahn's book can be found at the Campbell House Museum, as well as in St. Louis bookstores and online.
For more St. Louis stories, subscribe to the HEC YouTube channel. Connect STL from HEC Media.
Obesity and weight concerns are diagnosed here. This is Ground Zero, the primary care provider's office. And according to the Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services, almost 2 out of every 3 adults in Missouri are overweight or obese.
We're really excited about the Weight Loss Project. It's a $3 million contract award that enables us to offer our patients even more innovation in the area of weight loss management.
At Mercy, Joanne Levy is Vice President of Mercy Research. Levy explains how primary care providers in the Mercy Health system are preparing to become priority in 2025 for an all-new system and strategy for weight loss. After all, the primary care provider is the first point of contact for most people.
Get the right care to the right patient at the right time at the right place.
Mercy receives a $3 million funding award from the PCORI organization.
PCORI stands for the Patient-Centered Outcomes Research Institute, PCORI. And it is a not-for-profit, independent organization that funds comparative clinical effectiveness research across the country.
Traditionally, PCORI funds research, but in this case, it's for the new Mercy Intensive Lifestyle Treatment for Weight Loss program. And this time, the PCORI funding is different. PCORI set up a program called the Health Systems Implementation Initiative, or HSII.
So the reason they did that was very interesting. Once you start research, it takes on average about 17 years for that research to actually translate into a change in clinical practice. So when you think about that gap, the time that it takes, the patients that are missed during those 17 years, when we know something could be better, to the time we actually change the practice. They decided that they were going to set up the HSII program to address that time lag. So the whole purpose of the program is implementation. It's not research. It's to take research conclusions that exist and translating it into clinical practice. So it's really focused on research implementation.
So Mercy is now one of 42 health systems across the entire country selected to participate in cutting-edge clinical programs that HSII offers. But first,
up to $500,000 of funding to get ready to build capacity to address implementation. We also estimate that there's about 1,500 Mercy coworkers who would be involved in helping implement the program.
And the one program Mercy chose addresses one of the biggest health problems in Missouri.
Obesity is a 35% incidence across the country, and it's even higher in the 4 states in which Mercy operates. Just in the St. Louis area alone, statistics show that 1 in 3 adults has an obesity challenge.
As adult obesity rates have risen, so have the related conditions of diabetes, heart disease, and premature death. And primary care providers are the first line of defense. Coming soon, the new program will target obesity at all 237 primary care clinics across Missouri, Kansas, Oklahoma, and Arkansas.
And ultimately, we ended up being one of only 6 healthcare systems across the entire country that was awarded funding.
The new Mercy Intensive Lifestyle Treatment for Weight Loss program will roll out to patients in November of 2025.
For those patients who meet the criteria, the program consists of lifestyle coaching, in-person and virtual. It consists of text messaging reminders, something that we're very good at. It has a virtual care component, something that Mercy is nationally, internationally known for. And it also has an entire set of educational materials and metrics that we will be monitoring to ensure that our patients achieve the same kind of success that was shown in the research study and its conclusions.
HEC Media. Recognized, celebrated, honored time and again for excellence in the industry. Find all of the award-winning content at hecmedia.org.
History Spotlight, brought to you by HEC Media and the Missouri Historical Society.
Hello, I'm Dr. Jody Sowell, president of the Missouri Historical Society in St. Louis, and this is History Spotlight. Initiated in December 1958, the St. Louis Baby Tooth Survey measured the effects of radioactive fallout and nuclear energy on children's health. Public historian Andrew Wanko gives us the details of how the survey was conducted.
In the years after the global reshuffling of power that happened in World War II, the United States and the Soviet Union both tested dozens and dozens of nuclear weapons above the ground. These huge nuclear explosions were happening on faraway Pacific islands and in the middle of deserts, but nobody really knew what the long-term effects of these explosions on humanity were going to be. The new benchmarks of power they were achieving were terrifying. In 1954, for instance, the United States tested its Castle Bravo nuclear bomb. That produced an explosion of 15 megatons. That was 1,000 times more powerful than the bomb that hit Hiroshima, Japan in 1945. Citizens were getting concerned about what all these tests might do to humanity, because even though they were happening in places far away, the cloud of radioactive particles they produced, known as fallout, was free to blow wherever the wind might carry it. In 1958, a group of St. Louis scientists, community leaders, and professors founded the St. Louis Committee for Nuclear Information. It was their goal to put some real data behind the concerns everybody had about what nuclear tests were doing to the global population. They knew this was going to be a huge problem, though, because if nuclear fallout was actually affecting the entire world, it would show up equally in everyone. What would you compare it against? They needed some way to test human bodies from before nuclear testing began and after nuclear testing began and compare the two. For the answer to that, they turned to children's teeth. In lost baby teeth, they had an endlessly replenishing supply of testable material. They could mine the collections of medical institutions to find teeth that had been lost long before nuclear testing had started, and they could compare the two. If radioactive elements showed up more inside children's teeth of today, they knew that they had their smoking gun. This study itself, the St. Louis Baby Tooth Survey, was led by Washington University professor Dr. Louise Rice, and they made it their goal to collect as many teeth as possible from St. Louis school kids. Kids from all over the St. Louis region sent in their teeth by mail. They dropped them off at collection spots around their schools or at dentist visits. In response for donating their tooth, they got a button that said, "I gave my tooth to science." And it was amazing the response that this team got. Within 2 years, they were collecting 750 new baby teeth a week. And within these teeth was exactly the evidence they were looking for. The levels of strontium-90, a radioactive byproduct element created in nuclear explosions, was 50 times higher in children born after 1963 than it was in children born in 1950. It was the results of the St. Louis Baby Tooth Survey that helped commit President John F. Kennedy to sign the partial test ban treaty with the United Kingdom and the Soviet Union, ending the above-ground testing of nuclear weapons by those three countries. The St. Louis Baby Tooth Survey continues to give back to science as well. A number of other baby tooth surveys have been used to prove all sorts of scientific things throughout time, including in 2015 when the lead pollution crisis in Flint, Michigan's water supply was exposed using the exact same process of checking children's lost baby teeth. In 2021, 100,000 of the original St. Louis teeth were donated to Harvard University, where researchers continue to use them to study the long-term effects of environmental effects experienced in childhood. So it's an incredible story of how St. Louis helped stop nuclear testing by turning toward the thing we all lose, our teeth, when we're children.
Next week on History Spotlight, discover how a group of determined Black women established their own YWCA branch in St. Louis in 1911.
To learn more about the Missouri Historical Society, visit mohistory.org.
HEC Media, bringing you culture and community. Find all of HEC's positive programming and award-winning content at hecmedia.org.
All right, come on, girls. Get the phone next to mommy. I need to show you something.
Williams Academy is a school here in North County where we really want to educate young people on not just arithmetic or literature, but on the world. So our goal is to make every student well-rounded in their opportunity in life. They go from birth up to 4 years old in our day school and daycare, and then 5 years to 13 years old in our after school program.
Bear. All right, give me some.
Since he's been here, it's been different vocabulary he's picked up. Not to mention he's big in the science area, which I noticed that they did work big in the STEM area, which is perfect for me because when we get home, that's the first thing. Mom, can we do a volcano? Mom, can we do this? We did this at school today. And so since he's been here, it seems like it has made him bigger. Imagination in science has gotten bigger.
So science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. And somewhere in there, you have to understand that the entire world is made up of these 5 components. Music trains the mindset to be in different places at different times. And so when you hear something often, right, and it's repetitive, that might be how you remember how to count. It might be how you remember how to spell. So definitely music plays a major part in how we feel every day, but also in how we think about certain topics as we go forward. My mother is an educator, but also an entrepreneur, and she owned a school for several years with us growing up, David and I. David is my business partner and the majority shareholder of Williams Academy. And she taught us through her teachings about Montessori, how to be active participants in the community. And so we basically stole, if you will, her swag, her energy, and created this. This is different because it's male-led. When we think about education, a lot of times it's female-led, and I highly commend all of the female teachers that I've had in my recent past and in my past who've taught me how to stand up and be a leader. However, we're in a time period where the male needs to show self-respect, but also how to lead not only as a family member, but how to lead as an educator, and how to lead as a person in the society that we're growing up in now. Right, perfect.
So like David and Yannick have the most wonderful demeanor in dealing with children, and it's really hard to find that at daycares. You know, a lot of people, you know, they get upset easy, or, you know, the way they react to things. They have a very even keel, you know, calm demeanor all the time, no matter what's going on. And it's a great example for the kids. It really is.
The importance of this academy in this neighborhood goes beyond what we can see. There's an emotional connectivity to the human life that really matters, and it starts right here at Williams Academy. 2 years before we even opened the school, no bank, traditional bank, would give us a loan to start a business in this area. So it's a love project, but it's really an investment in the people. That's what this is all about. You know, a building with no person inside is nothing. It's the people that make this thing happen. Right, getting people to believe in your dream. That's what I do every day. I dream every night that these kids do something better than what I could do.
Later on Spotlight, a band goes viral with an impromptu performance on a snowy highway.
Ice cream has changed my life twice. Once when I was a kid and it changed my sense of community, and 2, when I decided to leave corporate America and start Clementines. Think about a microbrewery for beer, but for ice cream. You know, we're small batch, we're handcrafted, we're all natural, we have low overrun, and it is Clementine's Naughty, a nice creamery. And the naughty part of our ice cream is I have a trade secret process for infusing alcohol into ice cream up to 18%. So our naughty ice cream is really naughty. I do all of the flavor creation for us. That's where the flavor temptress comes in. I love ethnic flavors. I love unique things that people wouldn't normally think about putting in ice cream. So when I was in Italy, I came across this amazing pine needle sap. It was called Mugolio, and they would sometimes use it in salads or on pork chop, like savory dishes. And it was so amazing and it was so cool. I said, I want to do a Mabolio flavor. Or, you know, I do a manchego with truffles and honey, right? So introducing a beautiful Spanish cheese with like shaved truffles and using local honey. It's really fun to be able to blend like the best of the bounty that we have here in Missouri with really cool and amazing unique ingredients from around the world. We opened our first store in Lafayette Square in May of 2015. There was this old wine bar that had been closed down for a couple of years, but it was really tiny and it was like in the worst corner at the end of a street with no parking. Everyone said I was nuts. And so I did it and it was just amazing. From May 15th, 2015 to December 31st, we had 57,000 people come through my little 500 square foot ice cream shop. It's been just this amazing journey of love and support from this awesome city that I live in and the people who live here that want to see all independents do really, really well.
Clementine's Creamery just named best ice cream in the United States, and they're on Oprah's favorite things list.
Oh my
Congratulations.
All of the national press that we've gotten, yes, it's amazing for us, but it's so great for the city. Being able to put St. Louis on the national map, even if it's just in ice cream, is an incredible privilege. Rising tides raises all ships, right? The better that any of us independent businesses do and get national attention, the better that all of the businesses do. You know, we're gonna be a national brand someday very soon. And so now it's just a matter of putting one foot in front of the other and making the best ice cream in this country every day. I'm really just a strong woman that never gives up.
You can find the stories featured in today's show along with past episodes and more at hecmedia.org/spotlight. During a snowy 5-hour closure in Colorado's Glenwood Canyon, bluegrass band Elk Range gave an impromptu performance that turned the situation into an unforgettable dance party on the mountain highway. The captured video went viral worldwide.
We looked on our phones and realized we were going to be there for hours. And it's dumping snow and blowing and it's cold and it's miserable and there's snow on the highway. But we're in this beautiful canyon, one of the most spectacular parts of Colorado by far. And Betty's like, why don't you guys grab your instruments and we'll just play on the highway for some people.
We've had people, you know, I guess the car directly next to us, they were from Australia, and they said that it made their daughter's whole holiday. She was just a young...
We got a cartwheel.
Yeah, she's out there cartwheeling behind us and dancing, and, you know, and yeah, Australia, and we've been contacted by people from Hawaii.
We got, I think, well over 3 million views, and we tried to respond best we could to all the comments, and there were thousands of them. And there was this one woman, Ken can take it from here. This is a sweet story.
Yeah. She said, I know exactly where you were held up. I was in a traffic stop shortly after you were in it. And she said, my husband was a musician and he's been gone for a while, but I happened to have his ashes in the car. And I stopped and we listened to your performance and I dumped his ashes here on the side of the highway. And your performance meant so much to me because I was able to be with him.
I mean, music just connects the spirit and the human form, connects pain and joy. It's, you know, it just negates all the intensity and levels everything out so that we all kind of dissolve into one breath and one consciousness.
It took me most of my life to realize that music was something that I dreamed of doing and that I really wanted to do, and that it was, you know, something that brings me utter joy that I can share with people. It's an honor to be able to do that. Not everyone gets to have that opportunity, not only to live part of their dreams, but also to share something with people that's, you know, so intrinsically a part of who you are.
All four musicians migrated from different American cities and now reside in Colorado and found a creative musical connection with each other.
To find, three other people who really understand what you're trying to convey in your songs or, whatever your skill level is, where, they build you up and they really feed you into the better part of yourself.
What's interesting is, I can probably speak for everybody and say that we have very different influences in who we listen to the most. You're very traditional, bluesy. You like your country music. You like country music. I'm the hippie one that likes all the jamming stuff. But somehow we get together and make it our own brand.
The type of music that we play in the music community that we're in is really family based. Acoustic instruments and this. The roots of this music is hundreds of years old. It's Hills music. The blues has influenced my music a lot, of course, growing up in St. Louis. That music is old. It's a purely American art form. And there's, so many other genres of music are worldly, but blues is American. Bluegrass is American, and it's lending itself from all of these other traditions, but really it's a sense of belonging and it's a community, and it's really tight-knit community, and I think at the end of the day, I want people to feel something.
When we play live, we play with each other, for each other, but then for that, I think that higher awareness that whoever, like Ken was saying, whoever taps in to what our personal experience of these songs are, gets something out of it. And it doesn't necessarily matter what it is, as long as it's something. And so to be that catalyst for each other and for others is, it will always be, no matter what position we're in. If we have instruments, we'll play them.
Next week, walking tours that explain the Del Mar Divide from St. Louis's past and present. Plus, an animal rescue saves dogs by teaching humans. Thanks for watching Spotlight. Join us next Sunday at 9:30 a.m. on KPLR 11.